So how should we respond to Mill's argument? So one of the things that we could say here is just simply to deny the slippery slope that I'm kind of suggesting here. So maybe we can accept that we should hold people responsible for their beliefs, and we're optimistic about the fact that there are ways of doing that that don't set this precedent. That doesn't open the door to, or doesn't run these risks of us potentially being wrong about what kinds of beliefs are acceptable, what kinds of ways of forming beliefs are acceptable, and also doesn't open up the door to bad actors weaponizing this kind of precedent that's been set in order to do harm. So if we can think of a way of doing that, then it seems like we can, assuage our concerns. Another thing that we might think about is, this kind of slightly more technical answer where um, there seems to be a distinction between beliefs and considerations. So once that if we actively believe something, we're expressing that we regard some proposition as true. We accept that the truth value of it is positive. Whereas if we simply consider it, this is something that is less committal than belief. So we don't have to actually um, suggest that we believe that the truth value of it is, definitely true, but instead we might be considering it. And so maybe all the stuff that Mill is talking about with regards to the value of intellectual progress and the diversity of thought and opinion can be gained through if we allow for people shouldn't be held excessively responsible for the considerations that they engage in, but in terms of the beliefs that they espouse, maybe they should be held responsible for that. And so, if we can run this tight distinction, then maybe we should be, less concerned um, than this argument that I'm kind of playing with suggests that we ought to be, because we're not actually talking about beliefs anymore. When we're thinking about Mill, we're talking about considerations. Another potential argument here is to kind of deny the generality of the application here. So the kind of cases that we're thinking about with Mill and Orwell really, really only has kind of any intuitive force in kind of political or moral cases where people are, forming beliefs about how to live or forming beliefs about, what policies people ought to pursue. And so maybe there's some kind of force here because of the kind of power that's expressed in the beliefs about these questions. So there's lots of interest in, controlling what people think about these, and so the slippery slope argument has force here. But if we think about, some maybe more everyday cases about what it means to hold people responsible for beliefs, it doesn't seem like um, people are ever going to be engaging in really kind of censorious or very kind of interventionary practices in cases about epistemic norms where we seem to feel less strongly. So holding people responsible in these cases doesn't seem to require as much of it doesn't seem like it could possibly require as much of an intervention as we may be concerned about in these other cases. So maybe this is something that just doesn't apply very generally. And then finally, we can kind of address Mill's argument more head on by just kind of denying his assumptions. So Mill, is, as we said, is an optimist about this kind of marketplace of ideas proposal, and he's assuming, or at least arguing for the idea that if we have this, great diversity of belief and opinion, that's going to be something that's kind of better for everybody. And if embracing a culture of further responsibility for belief interferes with that, then that's going to be bad because it's going to interfere with intellectual progress. But you might also wonder, on the contrary, whether like allowing a really permissive attitude to what beliefs people can hold is going to be likely to lead us to good outcomes. And instead, we might think that this could actually take us further from the truth. So if what we care about is intellectual progress and truth, maybe we should think that at least there's some way in which we could interpret the idea of holding people responsible for beliefs as a tool by which we can try and get closer to the truth. So by encouraging this kind of culture of responsibility.